You're scrolling through Instagram late at night. Your college roommate is posting from a rooftop bar in Miami. Your coworker just bought a brand new Tesla. Your neighbor is renovating their kitchen for the third time. And meanwhile, you're eating leftover pasta, mentally adding up your bills, and wondering if you're the only person who checks their bank account before buying groceries. And at some point you think, what am I doing wrong? How is everyone affording this? Here's the thing. The answer is going to make you feel a lot better about your own finances. But it's also going to make you question almost everything you thought you knew about wealth in this country. Because most of what you're seeing isn't real. Not in the way you think it is. Let me show you the actual numbers, and I promise, by the end of this, you'll stop feeling behind. The illusion of success. Walk through almost any suburban neighborhood in America and you'll see the same picture. 3,000 square foot homes, perfect lawns, luxury SUVs in the driveway, Ring doorbells, solar panels, fresh paint. The visuals are screaming success. But here's what most people don't realize. Those houses? They don't represent wealth. They represent financial quicksand. According to recent Census Bureau data and mortgage industry reports, the median home price in the United States is hovering around $400,000. Now, in theory, a conventional mortgage requires 20% down. That's $80,000 in cash. Most people don't have that. So instead, they're putting down 3%, 5%, sometimes less, which means they're financing almost the entire purchase. Run the math. A $400,000 mortgage at roughly 7% interest puts your monthly payment around $2,600. Now add property taxes, home insurance, HOA fees if applicable. That payment quickly becomes $3,000 a month or more. Now here's where it gets uncomfortable. The median full-time income in the U.S. is about $60,000 a year. That's roughly $5,000 a month before taxes. So if $3,000 of that is going to housing, you're spending 60% of your gross income just to keep a roof over your head. The traditional rule of thumb says housing shouldn't exceed 30% of gross income. For a $60,000 earner, that's about $1,500 a month. These households are blowing past that by 40 to 50%. That's not wealth. That's being house poor. Every dollar is already spoken for before it even hits their account. The driveway lie. But the house is just the foundation of the illusion. Let's talk about what's parked in the driveway. Cars might be the single biggest lie detector in personal finance. A new car screams, "I've made it." But in 2025, the average new car payment in the U.S. is over $730 per month. For trucks and SUVs, the vehicles that dominate American roads, it's often over $1,000 a month. And here's what really changed. 72-month loans are now standard. Some people are stretching to 84 months. That's 7 years of payments on something that loses value every single day. Let's say you finance a $50,000 SUV. Totally normal now. At 7% interest over 6 years, you're paying around $900 a month. But it doesn't stop there. Insurance on a financed vehicle averages about $200 a month. Gas is another $200 if you commute. Maintenance still exists, even on new cars. You're easily at $1,300 a month minimum just to own and operate that vehicle. Now zoom out. For someone making $60,000 a year, $1,300 a month is over 25% of gross income. Combine that with a $3,000 mortgage, and you're at $4,300 a month in just housing and transportation. You've already spent more than you earn. And we haven't even talked about food, utilities, phones, subscriptions, or life. This is how people are affording their lifestyles. They're not. They're financing the appearance of wealth while living in a state of permanent financial emergency. Net worth reality check. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but surely some people actually are wealthy. Don't people build net worth over time? Yes, but not nearly as much as you think. The Federal Reserve publishes household wealth data, and the numbers are eye-opening. For Americans under 35, the median net worth is about $39,000. That includes everything: checking, savings, retirement, home equity. Most people in this age group have almost nothing. For ages 35 to 44, median net worth rises to around $135,000. Sounds decent, until you realize that for homeowners, most of that is tied up in home equity, which you can't spend unless you sell the house or take on more debt. Liquid net worth, the money you could actually access, is often far lower. Even for ages 45 to 54, median net worth is around $247,000. These are peak earning years, and half of households have less than that. The influencer lifestyle you're comparing yourself to? Statistically, it's built on leverage, not wealth. Living at home and the invisible advantage. Here's another factor almost nobody talks about. About 1/3 of adults aged 18 to 34 are living with their parents. 1/3. That eliminates rent, often eliminates groceries and utilities. If you're making $45,000 a year and living at home, you might have $2,500 a month in true disposable income. You can afford the car payment, the trips, the clothes. You look successful because you removed your biggest expense. Meanwhile, someone earning $70,000 and paying their own rent might have less spending money than you do. This isn't a criticism. Multi-generational living makes financial sense, but it creates a distorted comparison. You're assuming higher income when the reality is lower expenses. The invisible safety net. Then there's something even harder to see. A recent survey found that nearly 50% of parents with adult children provide regular financial assistance, not occasional help, an average of nearly $1,500 per month. Rent, car payments, insurance, phones, groceries. So when you see someone in their late 20s driving a new BMW and living downtown, there's a decent chance a parent is subsidizing that lifestyle. You won't see that on social media. You see the car, not the transfer behind it. This creates what I call the invisible income effect. You're comparing your entire financial reality to someone else's curated facade. Investing: perception versus reality. Let's talk about investing. Walk into any office and you'll hear people talking about portfolios, markets, retirement accounts. It sounds like everyone is investing, but the data says otherwise. Only about 62% of US adults own any stock at all. That means 38% have zero exposure. No 401, no IRA, nothing. And among those who do invest, balances are often small. The median retirement account balance for people in their 30s is under $50,000. That's not nothing, but it's not the aggressive wealth-building machine people imagine. This is selection bias. The people who invest talk about it. The people who don't. So it feels like everyone's winning when most people are barely staying afloat. Even among high earners, it's not great. Nearly 1 in 4 people earning over $100,000 still live paycheck to paycheck, because income and wealth are not the same thing. The psychology behind the pressure. This is where it gets really interesting. The psychology behind all of this is called social comparison theory. Humans judge their success relative to others. That's biology. The problem is your comparison group used to be small. Now it's the entire internet. Different incomes, different timelines, different support systems, and you have no context. There's also the reference group effect. If people around you spend a lot, you'll feel poor, even if you're doing fine. That's why lifestyle creep is so dangerous. It's not just spending more, it's comparing yourself to higher spenders. What this means for you. If you feel behind, there's a very high chance you're doing better than you think. if you're saving anything, if you're avoiding high-interest debt, if you're investing even a little, you're ahead of a massive portion of the population. The quiet wins don't get posted, but they compound. Opting out of the performance. Here's the hard truth. If you're stressed about money and spending to look successful, you're choosing the stress. Every dollar spent on appearance is a dollar not spent on freedom. The irony is brutal. The people who look richest often have the tightest margins. The people building real wealth usually look average. The simple math of freedom. Let's make this concrete. Say you earn $60,000. You rent for $1,500 instead of stretching to $2,000. You drive a paid-off car instead of a $700 payment. That's $1,000 a month freed up. That's $12,000 a year. $60,000 in 5 years before investing. That's options. But it requires being okay with looking unimpressive. Most people aren't winning, they're performing. And the performance is expensive. Financial security is quiet. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't need validation. If you're building slowly, even boringly, you're already ahead. Stop competing with a mirage. Measure progress against who you were a year ago. That's the only score that matters. And if this helped you see money more clearly, stay consistent, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next one.